I'm going to be focusing on finishing up the drainage for our sink and dishwasher and shower area. I bought some additional plumbing stuff yesterday because I needed some more fittings, but I want to get everything done in the next day or so to get drainage out of the van. I have the gray water tank that's been sort of sitting, and I got to find a way to mount it. But first I need to know the location of where I'm going to mount it, so I need to sort of drill a hole down to the bottom of the van, and then from there we can kind of just keep building it out. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to start with adding a piece of board here, the toe kick area. So there's going to be a board here, and I made it a little bit too short, so I'm going to make a new board. And then I also need to finish the propane locker here. I need to extend it out a little bit because once the gas regulators are installed, they kind of stick out. So this box that I have previously made is a little bit too small. I need to have it come out a little bit. And then continue running the PEX tubes into the shower area in the front here. I'm also going to be making something new that I haven't heard of anyone doing it. I know a lot of people do a system for recirculating hot water back into the system so that hot water can go into the faucet as soon as you turn it on. Because right now how it works is we have a hot water tank that stores hot water. It's really hot there once the van is running, right? Once the engine coolant heats up that water tank. But because the line from the back of the van all the way to the front is about a maybe 8 feet, 10 feet run, as soon as you open the hot water, you have to wait like 5-6 seconds before the water becomes hot from the water just traveling. And that wastes a lot of water, like especially when it gets a lot colder, when the water is like almost freezing. That water, you basically waste it. Like you just let it go because you don't want to be touching cold water. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to complete a loop from the, once I run the hot water PEX to the shower area, I'm going to complete the loop back into the freshwater tank, and I'm going to have a switch here on the sink side where I press it, it pushes the water back into our freshwater tank without wasting, and then that will heat up the entire water line, and then the water tap will be hot as soon as we turn on. So that's a design that I haven't seen anyone do before, and I'm going to be working on that. And today is 116 of our DIY Sprinter van build for those who are following. Feels like there's no fall this year here in New York. It went from like 80s, 90s to just like now the lowest is like 30. It's like it's almost freezing now too. So makes building the van a little bit tougher. So I'm gonna go right in here. Let me just make sure this fits. Let's finish with the drainage connections, and I'll try to drill a hole into the bottom of the van. I'm going to drill a pilot hole first to see where the drainage hole is going to end up on the bottom of the van. That way, when I drill the bigger hole, I'm not going to hit any beams or anything. I'm going to do it as far back to this corner here as possible. So it's going to allow us to maximize the toe kick draw that's going to be over here. So let's try right over here. Yeah, that went through. Yeah, where is it? Ah, right over here. That's a good location right here. Perfect location, actually. Let's make the actual hole. Now that we got our nice big hole, let's finish the connection and get the drain out the van. Spray a little primer first. Right. I'm also going to be running a wire to the bottom right next to this hose. This is the power cable for the switch for the motorized ball valve, so we can just tap a switch and it will automatically open the gray water switch for dumping water. And while I'm here drilling holes to the bottom of the van, I'm going to drill another hole, pretty much the same size, 1.5 inches, for the under propane tank leak drain. So in the event there is a leakage in the propane tank, since propane is heavier than air, it's gonna drip to the bottom, so we need a big hole in the propane locker for that to happen. So I'll add that hole too. I just put the propane box back so I know where to drill that hole. It's gonna be right here in this corner. And before I close up this toe kick area, I'm gonna install the rails to it. I bought some rails from Lowe's the other day. That way it's gonna make it easier to install. And then once I have the actual toe kick draw, then I can just slide it in. But let me just add the draw slide in first. The draw slide is installed. Let's finish making the connection for the drainage. Okay, the final connection for the drain is in. This is gonna flow directly under the van if I start the faucet. I think we can test it out, see if it any leaks on any of the drain area here. Okay, the drainage is clear. There's no debris here. All the connections on the bottom looks good. Let me just put the Home Depot bucket to catch the water. Gonna go right under here. Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, water coming down. It's going through here. Down into the pipes, which tees off and comes all the way to the bottom here. Let me just make sure these fittings have no leaks. I don't think I tightened this one, but no leaks here. No leaks there. Let's check. I gotta get the pump going and turn that on. Okay. Let's keep this running for a minute. Let's check under the van. It's spraying all over the place, but it's coming down where it's supposed to, through that drain pipe. Eventually I'll make a connection from that pipe over to the gray water tank, but looking pretty good. Yeah, main thing is to make sure there's no leaks on this end, on the interior. All right, so far so good. Everything looks like it's done properly. Well, we still haven't tested the dishwasher, which I think I could. I think I could run a cycle now too, now that everything is hooked up. Because I never even tested it to see if this works. I think I should. Okay, let me clear the inside of any debris. I got the instruction manual here too. I got some sort of wood chips here, so let me make sure there's nothing, because I don't want the drain to get stuck. Let me vacuum this. Okay. I guess before I turn it on, I could also check to make sure the drain on this side is done right. Yeah. Water's not sort of going down. I'm guessing it's because this is sort of a dishwasher and not a second sink. I think there's a way to turn this into a second sink. Maybe open the drain or something. But how I'm going to be using this dishwasher is when we're not plugged in shore power, maybe we won't be using the dishwasher. It's because it uses a lot of power when we're running this thing. So it's basically going to be a second sink. Once we wash all the dishes and we want to dry stuff, if we hand wash the dishes and we want to dry it, we can just put it on the rack here and just let it air dry. And we can even drive with it because there's a lid here and all the dishes will just stay inside here. Yeah, that's why we really like this, because we noticed that when we drive, we have to always like dry all the dishes and put everything away. Otherwise, they'll just fly all over. So having a secondary drainage, drying rack is really nice. And of course, the dishwasher itself too. Let's start a cycle. Let's power this on. Let's do normal. I gotta peel off this protective film to read it better, but I just wanna keep it on because I'm still using the surface for like putting stuff. And I am going to just do a delicate cycle. Let's start a delicate cycle, and we'll check how much power it uses too. The delicate cycle is a 20-minute cycle. There's a normal one, and I think a more intense washing cycle, but delicate is gonna be the fastest. We're just testing it. It's running now. All right, we'll check back on it later, and we'll keep an eye on the water that's flowing on the outside. Yeah. Yep, it's going. As far as power consumption goes, it's pulling in 1400 watts, it looks like. Yeah, 1400 watts. Well, it looks like the wash cycle is complete. There's really nothing to look at. It's just all wet. And any leaks? One final check. Yeah, no leaks here, which means it drained out properly. It's already all dark outside. I was actually upstairs helping Rena out with Archie and Spencer. And so I didn't really get any more work done. It's already completely dark out now. And yes, this whole thing is full. This is how much water it used for that delicate cycle. I think this is is it 3 gallon or 2 gallon bucket? There's a smaller bucket, Home Depot bucket. But it looks like it spit out a lot of wood pieces in there, debris from the dishwasher. Yeah, it doesn't use a lot of water, which is really nice about this dishwasher. So we're not going to waste a lot of water, even if we just have power and want to run this thing, which is really nice. All right. it's almost dinner time. I'm gonna work on a few more things before I head back up, and then I'll show you guys later on what we work on. What you doing, Spencer? Are you playing in the dirt excavator? Are you putting the dirt in the dump truck? Yeah, I'll go right here. Oh, that's it right here? All right, I'll sit right there. Okay, can I have this? Thank you. Okay, thank you. You got some sawdust from the ground. You added some sawdust there. Dump everything down.
No.
Bulldozer. Okay, let's get back to it. Spencer is upstairs hanging out in the living room with Rena and Archie. And last night I left off with installing this guy right here. This is a mixing valve for our shower area, which is going to be right here. He's got to run the PEX tube through here. I already drilled the holes to the back here, so I'm going to be able to run the PEX into here. I'm missing a few fittings to complete the connection for this. Well, this one I can do, but I wanted to do that sort of recirculating heating element back to the freshwater tank. So that's I'm waiting for those fittings there. So that's going to be in like 2 days or tomorrow. I think it's going to come. So I will finish with that, or do as much as I can here. I really want to finish on all the plumbing stuff so I can get started on building the cabinets, the drawers for the cabinets here. I'm going to be building a few for here. I think 2 up here, and then up here we bought the IKEA one, so I don't need to do that. So I can focus on just working on the finished work there. And I don't know if you guys noticed the lights kind of flickering right now, because I turned the heater on. I noticed that when the heater is running, there's a bit of a voltage drop, because these lights here are very sensitive to voltage drop, causing it to flicker. So I bought a device, it's actually in the box in the back there. It's a voltage regulator that's going to help with the flickering, because it, I guess, limits the voltage so that it doesn't do what it's doing right now. But it only does it when it's like starting up. When the heater, I think the heater coil or the glow tube, I don't know what you call that, the glow tube to start the heater, once that's on, it draws so much power that it drops the voltage by a lot, causing this to flicker. So there's a fix for that, which I will install probably later today. All right, let's get started. So I ran the PEX tube, the 3 that's going to be in this cubby here. 2 are going to get connected. Well, the cold is going to get directly connected to this one, and then the hot is going to get connected to a T, and then one of the red tubes are going to bring the hot water back into our freshwater tank, which I'll talk about more once this is done in a future video, but this is kind of how it is right now. And the back here has the three PEX tube going back. And then I just secured this connection here to the stove. I got some soapy water here. I'm going to test it to make sure that this connection is nice and secured. And then I can re-secure the stove back in position, because I wanted to make sure all this stuff is done. I can't leave the stove unattached, otherwise I can't drive the van. So I wanted to make sure all of this stuff is done, and then I can just kind of put it back where it's supposed to go. So let me test this connection, and then once it's good, then let's put it back in place. Let me hook up the propane. Propane is in. Let's get this going. There you go, that fire is going. Okay, all right, I can turn this off. And let's test the connection there. With soapy water. I'm just looking for bubbles to see if there's any leaks. Okay, looks like we're good. All right, let's close this up. All right, the stove is back in, everything is secured. Let's finish with the propane locker. So for the propane locker, I'm going to be adding a door that's going to allow me to open here and just allow me to put the entire propane tank in here without blocking it. Originally, I was thinking of just like a door in the front here, but because the height is exactly where the propane is, there's not enough room for me unless it's like I can slip it right in, which I can't because of how the kitchen cabinet, you know, the base cabinet is placed. There's that toe kick area. So I need to lift it up, be able to sort of lift it out of the toe kick area, which is about this height here. So let me fabricate the door. I have the latches here, and let's finish with this propane tank, propane locker. My propane locker is pretty much done. Well, the enclosure anyway. I'm gonna add a bit of sort of sealant inside to make sure it's completely airtight. But here's how it looks like. We got this door here that comes off with the latch, and it just hooks on. You know, once it's on, you can just kind of lock it down. And there's a hole here, one I drilled yesterday, for any propane to leak down. And I still need to add a hole in the back for the actual hose itself to go through, but I'm gonna add some weather stripping along here, so when we close it, this is gonna be airtight, and then I'm also gonna seal off all the sides here, and then we're gonna be done with the propane locker. Okay, looks like we're done. I'm gonna put this back and we'll reconnect everything. I actually had to take off the stove again to get the hose out because I had it nicely connected, but I still needed it because I gotta run it from the box back to the stove, not the other way around. All right, let's put this thing back. After running the two PEX tubes, I'm actually blocking a little bit, and the holes are not aligning, meaning I can't push it all the way back because these PEX tubes are blocking. But I do have a good amount of space to the floor through the bottom of the van. But I'll just try to push it as far back because I'm not going to modify this anymore. This is probably where it's going to be. but I'll try to push it back as much as I can. This will have to do. Got about an inch clearance for the hole for the propane to go down, which I think is okay. Let's lock this in. Let's run the hose through. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap on this hole here. It's not going to be completely airtight. I'm going to probably add some maybe butyl tape or something around it. I haven't really found a good solution yet, but let's put this first and then we can always just try to seal it off. Set going back. Okay. Okay, let me just make sure I can still close the door with this regulator on because it's pretty big. This will work. Push this all the way to the back corner here. Let's close the lid. Okay. There you go. Perfect. Our propane locker, airtight propane locker, sitting right underneath our sink here. This is a perfect position for it, and I'm really happy with the fitting and how this came out. Looks really nice. Now that the propane locker is in, I'm pretty much done with under the sink. All the drainage, all the piping are pretty much complete, with the exception of the toe kick draw, which I still need to build, and running the return for that hot PEX tube to the freshwater tank. But I really like how neat and how nice and organized this came out. The drainage is really clean looking, and still a lot of space underneath the dishwasher for miscellaneous things. Yeah, I'm really happy with how this ended up being. Especially in the beginning, I didn't know how much space I have as far as clearance go for the drainage, and came out really nice. I'm really happy with this. All right, guys, I'm gonna end the video here. In the coming days, I'm gonna be building the drawers for the pantry and under the refrigerator if the weather cooperates. So if you guys wanna keep following our DIY Sprinter van build and our family of 4 soon to be back in this van, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the new videos come out. And if you enjoy watching this video, smash that like button so that gets spread to more people. We really appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.